Welcome to Big Ideas Small Business. I'm Doreen Milano, your host, and we're going to talk today about how businesses move forward in this environment. And our guest today is Suzanne Johns, and she is with
Only Luxury Estates Dallas.
And she is a concierge realtor. And what does that mean?
That means I work with the affluent, the high net worth individuals that are usually looking for the unique. They're looking for something that's going to help their investment portfolio, and it just makes a large contribution to whatever their legacy is going to be.
Very interesting.
You're tuned in to Big Ideas Small Business with Doreen Milano. Doreen brings energy, focus, and creativity with the most cutting-edge tools and systems needed to grow business, drive profits, and achieve dreams. Ready to rise? Here's your host, Doreen Milano.
So, what are the requests that you normally get from your clients?
You know, right now it's more of a consultation than a request. Because the first thing you do whenever you have a market change, which
we're going through right now.
We have a major market change going through, that we're adjusting to this now. That's going to even be more so next year. So what you see now is nothing compared to what we're going to see in the future, and probably for the next 12 to 24 months. Now, I don't have a crystal ball, it's broken, but that's judging by the amount of times I've seen cyclical markets, because that's what real estate is.
What do your clients request of you?
Okay. My clients don't really make requests right now. Right now they're looking for consultation so that they'll know exactly where they might want to focus and where they should head as far as their bottom line is concerned. It can be bottom line, it could also be whatever they're trying to do to increase wealth. At this point in time, because of the way I've seen cyclical markets be in real estate, and I've seen a lot of them over 42 years, that tells, doesn't it?
We don't
talk about that.
Ever.
Well, but you know what? I've seen a lot of changes. And each time we thought it was the worst it could possibly be. And then
it never is it?
It never seems to be that way. And 2008 was, a prime example of what we thought was, the world was going to come to an end as far as real estate was concerned. And the people that were able to pick it up and say, you know what, now's the time to be bold. Now's the time to get out there and buy everything I can with what I've got. And it increased their wealth multitudes over what if they had sat back and waited.
They did really well, didn't they?
They did extremely well. So now is the time to have that same mindset. And so that's the conversation we have to have. Is it time for you to expand? Is it time for you to pick up something you hadn't thought about? Or it's one of the things you thought about, but you just didn't want to pull the trigger. Now it's time to pull the trigger.
Awesome.
So
now your client base falls in two different camps, and
yes.
they merge those camps. One is their personal residence.
Right.
And the other one is their investment property.
That's correct.
And they merge those two camps often.
Well, definitely, especially when it comes to if you have something that's one of your high-end luxury real estate pieces in Highland Park or University Park or South Lake, then you probably paid a nice price for it. But after this, it's probably going to be worth a lot more than that in the future. Now, not right away. We're going to take a dip, but then it's going to be able to move up from there.
It's going to change.
So you're going to be able to pull that equity out and use it for other, investment opportunities. And it could be just about anything you want to use it for. So, it's pushing that level. The other thing I'm seeing a big influx in is having to do with land. People want to have wide open spaces. I want to be able to go out and commune with wildlife and nature and just get away from it all. And
let's go have a ranch.
Yeah,
right?
There you go. I want to be able to. And by ranch, I'm not talking about let's just go get 5 or 10 acres. I'm talking about 100 acres. And here in Texas, we have that capability. So as long as you're willing to be, and you can still be 2 hours from DFW Airport, so that gets you anywhere, and you can have a wonderful piece of property, go out and just chill, have a nice life, take the family, do a little hunting if that's what you want to do, or if you just want to watch the wildlife, that's what it is.
Take your and I'm a California city girl.
I know.
So that's like, no way.
That doesn't work
That's
for
not
you.
me.
I know. Well, but you can still take
Put me
your
on a beach somewhere. That's a different story. But a
All right, well,
ranch, not.
Okay, well, there are some that are next to lakes. They can't really have a beach, but you can have waterfront from that standpoint.
Now, I read an article today that Dallas County properties went up on 15% on average. Now, I don't think that's true through all the markets in Dallas County. Is that correct?
No, now there's different parts of Dallas County. That's a big county. It covers a lot of square feet and acreage, and miles, quite frankly, square miles. But it depends on where you're at and whether or not you're going to have that type of a gravitation up in
Right.
price. I can tell you that if you're 500,000 or below in that price point, yes, those did go up because your buying public is much larger. You have a better base. They can still get loans, FHA, FD, everything you want as far as conventional or FHA loans and VA loans. But as soon as you move over that threshold, what's considered to be the luxury or jumbo market, then that lending goes away and you have less people that can afford it because they got to put more money down or they got to buy it cash. A lot of people don't have that kind of cash sitting around. So those are not going to be the ones that are going to experience the rise in increase in the market, whereas those guys that are in the lower end will.
Got it. So with regards to the market that you serve, how has this pandemic and the problems with some of the banks and so on and so forth really affected the ability for that market to continue to buy property, sell property, doing all those things?
Well, the people that are in that price range were smart in the first place. And so they have money set aside and that it's sitting in an account or it's sitting in investment already. So those they can pull against. You can do any type of borrowing against your own money even at a lesser interest rate and then use it so that you have that money here and you can still borrow against yourself. You're your own guarantor, and therefore you can double what your assets are. So all of that's available to you. They're very smart in being able to position how they use their money and how they use the equity in that piece of property. Usually they purchased, let's say you bought something in Highland Park for $2 million, but it's probably something you could borrow $3.5 million against. So that gives you $1.5 million that you could go buy something else. Here in Texas, that gets you a lot.
Absolutely, it does.
We're not talking about California prices where you can go get 100 square feet for,
$1 million.
$1 million.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe 600 square feet, but not, but not much more.
That's right. So with that being said, what are the focal points for your market moving forward for the next, through the end of the year and into next year?
One of the things I'm seeing that's a big plus is a lot of the smaller homes that are ranch style, what's called the Golden Triangle. So that's between Forest and downtown, Highway 75 and Midway Road. You take that corridor, that's called the Golden Triangle, and move anywhere north or south from there, and those are gold. So those are teardowns. And so you'll find a whole lot of folks that are going in and buying those up that are the little 8-foot plate lines that are the older pieces of property built in the 60s and the 70s. They're not worth renovating, and you can't raise that plate line and make it an effective, price per foot for you to resell. So now we can just bulldoze it and build brand new. And then maybe I bought that house for $650,000, but I can put $1.5 million on it and then sell it for $2.5 million. That's a nice profit.
It is a nice profit.
So you're seeing a lot of that
So
going
that's
on.
more of an investment play rather than purchasing something to live in.
Yeah, no, they're not living in them. Now, if you're doing it one-offs, which means you're just doing it one at a time and you're doing it yourself, you got the DIY thing going on, which I don't at all say that's the smartest move to go, but some of them do. Then they will live in it while they renovate it, and then they'll just move from property to property. That also gives you a tax benefit that, that's another issue.
I was married to a contractor. Ladies and gentlemen, you do not ever want to be living in a renovation that you're working
That's
on.
right.
Been there, done that, and it's not comfortable.
If you are married, you may not be after it's over. So
That's right.
that's unfortunately Very true. But it's a whole skill set that's required to do that, and I don't suggest that you do it on your own. There are a lot of contractors that can help you with that and have a lot of expertise. Really good designers. So you just had one on your show.
Yeah.
You can obviously hire a good designer that can help you put all of that together. Not going to help you with the contractors, but they can help you with all of your selections. So that makes it where you don't. I've also seen some of those, lots of things go wrong, like really wrong, when they think that they know exactly how to renovate and they use their own taste instead of marketing to the public. One of the things I can honestly tell you, and I'm sure your designer that you just had would tell you as well, go to Nebraska Furniture Mart or somewhere and look at what they've done. They know how to market to the masses.
They do.
Don't ever pick what you personally liked, because that's the one that's the fail.
That's right. It's not going to work.
No.
So we are about ready to go to commercial, but one thing I would really want to know is, what's your one quick tip for your investor?
Okay. Now? I thought it was after. You want it now. Okay, my one quick tip for an investor. Number one, keep your eyes open. Number two, have a good conversation with a qualified broker. It doesn't mean you have to call me, but whoever you talk to. Do not get into anything having to do with retail. Don't get into anything that has to do with an office building, because look at what's happening. All these office buildings are going to become vacant. Not completely, but a lot. So therefore, paying rents are going to be a little bit more difficult for you to get. Retail is going online. America's starting to shop online and not doing brick and mortar. So if that's where you think you're going to go as a retail shopping center, or if you're going to go with something that has to do with an office building, don't go there. Now, manufacturing, that's a good one, because then you've got an office and you've got industrial. Then those two play well together.
Awesome. So let's go ahead and go to break. We'll be right back, ladies and gentlemen.
At Work Suites, get back to work your way. Business addresses, co-working, executive office suites. We really thrive on helping small businesses expand their horizons from simply working out of their home. What's really nice is we're flexible with our terms. We don't require you to sign a lease with us, go month to month, or stay a couple years. You may only need a part-time space. You'll have a full kitchen, covered garage access. This is the ideal way to work through the transition in your business and get you up to speed quickly. Private offices have dedicated Wi-Fi, furniture, 24/7 access. Call 888-445-9675 and check us out at worksuites.com to schedule your tour. You're going to love it here. 888-445-9675.
Welcome back. We're here with Suzanne Johns, and we're talking real estate.
Oh, my favorite topic, too.
I know it is.
It's
So
amazing.
exciting. So we're going to go behind the curtain.
Uh-oh.
And one of the things I know about Suzanne, but all of you may not, Suzanne Johns used to be a Dallas Cowboys cheerleader.
Oh, yes. Yep.
And,
Years ago.
and so you are working with some of your former
Yes, I do work
teammates.
with. Yeah, well, they're not my teammates, but I do work with some of the Cowboys. And I end up being the one that's able to counsel well, and so I get the rookies more than often than not, because this is their first time to get that big paycheck. Now everybody, including Mama, wants to live in a pretty big house, and they all want to live together. So it needs multiple rooms, and it needs to be ostentatious, and all of those things. So we have to sit down and talk about needs and wants versus requirements, and the two don't necessarily mix. And then we have to decide exactly who the decision makers are. Is it going to be Mama, or is it the new girlfriend that you probably won't have next week? So those are hard conversations that we have to have.
Those are really difficult conversations.
Yeah, they are. But it helps that I'm older, a lot older than they are, so that I can at least speak from the voice of reason. And I'm the one I'm going to give you the bad news, whether you want to hear it or not. And it turns out to be to your benefit. But You know, a lot of times, and then sometimes it just doesn't work out. You know, if you're not going to
That's
listen, and I do put all the cards on the table. If you're not going to listen, we don't need to work together. It's just that simple. I don't need the aggravation, and you don't need to have to be aggravated with me because I'm not going to follow what you said.
Well, and that's a big deal.
Yes, it is.
It's a really big deal. I mean, if you're saying don't do this and they do this anyway,
Oh yeah,
you're setting yourself up
for failure.
as a professional for a massive failure.
Oh, I know, and it never fails. Well, it fails, but what happens is then all of a sudden it was my fault, regardless of what I gave. I started thinking, you know, I need to video these conversations so that I could go back and say, remember this? Remember we discussed this is not what we do?
But we did it anyway.
But we did it anyway.
Because we're impulsive. I got it.
Yes.
So let's talk about behind the curtain in your business. You do many things. I mean, you will create developments for your clients.
Yes.
You will create, investment.
Here's what's really
pieces.
important to me. The most important thing I've ever learned to do was listen, no matter what it is, and no matter who it is, and no matter what level they are at the investment process of their life, because everybody has that beginner and they're starting. Not everybody starts, at the Jeff Bezos level, okay?
No.
So, or Ross Perot, or any of those guys. They all had to work up to it. Well, a few of them didn't. But anyway, you still got to start somewhere. So I have to be able to sit down and listen to what it is they think their goals are, and then help them tweak them just a little bit. And if they have a vision that I just got to have this, and I really want to achieve this, okay, well then there are some steps that are going to be required to get to that. And we sit down and we map it out. If we do this and we start here, I have a small investor that I'm working with right now. They're going into their first investment, so I put them into a duplex, but they want to grow it to buy an apartment complex. Well, that's fine. And that's what they should be doing. And we're going to achieve that after we mapped it out. You should be in year 6. So they just have to be able to, first of all, listen. Number 2, understand the strategy and agree to it. We have to all come together and understand the strategy and then stick to the plan. So there's only 3 big important parts. We got to talk about what you want, we got to come up with a strategy, and then we got to stick to the plan. As soon as we do that, then all of those things occur, and now they will be able, I guarantee you, they're going to own an apartment complex of 100 units by the time we get to year 6.
On the backside of your business, I happen to know that you have created several millionaires
Just a few.
by following your strategies and having an investor that actually listens and does what you say.
Well, and one of my investors I just talked to last month, and he's come back. And thank God, they come back. Amazing.
They do.
It's a thrill, actually. It's the biggest compliment I could ever get. He was my first millionaire, and he came back today, talked to me, and he goes, well, we're moving everything out of California. I think we're going to have to get stuff in Texas. What the heck do I need to do? And we put together his strategy, and now we're going to get him out of California and bring him here to Texas so that he's going to keep a place there that is going to now be his second home or his vacation home, and then put his primary residence here. Do the tax shelters. I put him in with a tax attorney. We've got all that set up so that now he can move money and not lose a whole lot to the state of California, and then move forward. But, over the course of time, and it depends, he's been with me 25 years. It doesn't always take that kind of time, to make that kind of money. But I have made, this year I made number 50 in the people that have become millionaires by following the strategy and doing the deals.
That is
exactly
awesome.
The way we wanted to put it together. Now that doesn't mean we don't have hiccups, because let me tell you, 2008 we had some hiccups.
Some big ones.
And we had to make some readjustments and there were some pretty tough meetings, to sit down and say, okay, here's what we thought we had, here's what we think, where we want to go. Now we need to reposition, see how we can still get there. It may cost us another year. It actually cost us about another 24 months,
right?
Because the market had to reposition itself and shake out. So after we got through that, then we were able to get back on course.
On month 24, what happened in California is property values went through the roof.
Exactly.
So I totally understand what you're saying.
Yep.
It's really important, though, that you are vetting your investors
Oh yeah,
as much as your investors vet you.
that's
You
true.
have to vet those investors.
Well, that's why we have that initial meeting, because I really want to know, and it may not just be one meeting. We need to know if we're going to have a meeting of the minds. And if we're not going to have, and I need all the players that are there. I can't just meet with you if the wife is the one that makes the decisions.
Yeah.
I can't meet with you if it's the, a tax attorney that really makes the decisions. We all have to sit down. We all have to come to an understanding. And if I'm going to have to butt heads with everybody, then it's not going to be a workable situation. And I'll walk away. And I'll thank them very much for their time, and I appreciate it. However, I don't think I'm going to be your best asset. If I'm not, I'm not going to set myself up for failure. I don't want you to do that either. Because the first thing you're going to do, if I did fail, you'll tell everybody in the world that I did a horrible job and I didn't, it had nothing to do with
you didn't
me.
win. Yeah. So your number one go-to here, one of the culture that you create for your clients is that you are their best asset.
Yes, absolutely.
And in being their best asset, what do they get to count on you for?
My eyes and ears are open all the time. If there's something that comes across that I know I've already had a long discussion with you about what you really want to do and where we are heading, then it immediately goes, that's it. I need to talk to Jane, whoever that is. That's an opportunity that's going to work for them. And we'll sit down and I'll dive farther into it and see if there's something that really is going to work. Before I'm going to waste your time, I'm going to find out the details.
Right.
And then we're going to sit down and say, well, we got a possibility here. I got some more investigation to do, but is this something of interest to you? And the answer is yes or no. And if it's yes, then I'm going to go deeper so that I can find out everything I need to do about that property.
So as being that trusted advisor, what is the most important thing for you to be aware of with respect to your clients?
I need to know that they have a good heart. That sounds funny, but I need to know that they're on the up and up just as much as I am. My integrity level is very high, and I will only work that way. So I do believe in the golden rule. I always have. And I've told people from the onset, even if when I first started out and I was putting people into little houses, if I wouldn't put myself and my family into it, I don't want you doing it either. So that's the mindset that I have and I always have had. So that's, to me, and I've walked away from a lot of commissions because it wasn't a deal that worked for my client. As much as I would have loved to have had it, it sure would have been handy. It just wasn't a smart move. So I'd have to walk away. And there's a lot of deals, I run into a lot of realtors that'll go, oh, I can get in on that deal. No, that's a conflict of interest. If I find a deal and I would love to have it, but it's really something that works for my client gets first choice.
Right.
I don't. Now, I will tell them, if you don't want it, you need to tell me because I will be the one that'll take it. But you have first right of refusal and I will step away.
That is awesome. How does our audience find you?
Well, I'm all over the internet at Suzanne Johns, but you can find me at onlyluxuryestatesdallas.com. And then my phone number is 972-639-6396. And it's sj@suzannejohns.com.
And it's always worth a conversation.
That's right.
Always worth it.
Every time.
And I am Doreen Milano, and this is Big Ideas Small Business. I'm a business consultant and executive coach. You can find me at v2e.biz. And our big push right now is getting businesses moving again. So I have a special, and you can call me about it. It is a way for you to really understand what your next steps are. So let's have a conversation about your next steps. Doreen Milano, Visions to Excellence, and this is Big Ideas Small Business.
This has been Big Ideas Small Business with Doreen Milano. Doreen Milano solves problems for small and mid-market family-owned businesses and service-based industries. To work with Doreen, go to visionstoexcellence.com. For guest and sponsorship information, call 650-483-5798. Big Ideas Small Business with Doreen Milano is produced by Offbeat Business Media for the OBBM Network. For OBBM Network programming information, call 214-714-0495. Unauthorized use of any part of Big Ideas Small Business with Doreen Milano without prior permission through the OBBM Network is strictly prohibited.